You'd think the absolute biggest danger of a newborn overheating would be in the middle of like a sweltering July heat wave.
Right, yeah, that's what everyone assumes.
But statistically, I mean, the risk of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome linked to overheating, it actually spikes in the dead of winter.
It's a terrifying paradox, really.
It is.
Parents are just so biologically hardwired to protect their fragile newborns from the cold, so they massively overcompensate.
Right, they panic.
Exactly. They crank the thermostat, they pile on the heavy fleece, and they just, well, unwittingly create a highly dangerous sleep environment.
Which is wild to think about. Welcome to this deep dive, by the way. Whether you are an expecting parent currently staring blankly at, like, an online registry.
We've all been there.
Oh, totally.
Hmm.
Or maybe a curious relative trying to buy a gift that won't just collect dust in a closet.
Hmm.
Or, honestly, just someone fascinated by the everyday science of human biology. You are in the exact right place. Because today, our mission is cutting through the murky, highly aesthetic, and often deeply contradictory consumer landscape of newborn sleep essentials.
Because there is just this massive gap between clinical safety guidelines on a medical website and the 2 a.m. reality of trying to soothe a crying infant.
Yeah, 2 a.m. hits different.
It really does. I'm looking forward to bridging that gap today.
Me too. And to figure this all out, we've stacked up a mountain of sources for you. We are pulling strict medical safety parameters from Healthline and the NIH. We're getting into the literal weave of fabrics with breakdowns from Gokata and various baby clothing manufacturers.
The fabric science is so interesting.
It really is. We're also comparing bedding guides from Joey and Joan in Love to Dream. And maybe my favorite part, to ground all of this theory in actual reality, we have a brilliantly honest, completely unfiltered Reddit thread.
Oh, the veteran mom?
Yes, veteran moms who are just aggressively de-influencing first-time parents.
Which is incredibly necessary given how high the stakes feel, and how overwhelmed new parents are by the marketing.
Oh, the marketing is relentless. So the mission today is simple. We are distilling exactly what you need to keep a baby safe, comfortable, and perfectly temperature regulated. We want to save you from building like a mini mall of completely useless gadgets in your living room.
Yes, please. And to do that, we really have to start from the ground up.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, before we even consider the ambient temperature of the room or the fabric of the pajamas, we have to look at the literal foundation, the surface the baby is sleeping on.
Which brings us right into that murky consumer landscape we mentioned. Because, okay, let's unpack this. You'd assume buying a bassinet sheet is a straightforward transaction, right?
You really would.
It feels like buying a sheet for a queen-size bed. A standard is a standard. But the sources highlight that this is actually a huge trap.
It is, it's one of the most dangerous misconceptions out there, honestly.
Wait, really? The most dangerous?
Yeah, because trip mattresses are governed by strict federal safety standards. They set specific minimum size and firmness requirements.
Okay, that makes sense.
But bassinets, on the other hand, have absolutely no universally enforced mattress dimension standard.
That's completely chaotic. I mean, our sources show that a mini bassinet mattress is typically 14 by 30 inches. But a standard is roughly 15 by 30 inches.
Right.
And a large is 16 by 32 inches.
Right.
And even within those loose brackets, brands just kind of do their own thing.
Exactly. And if you happen to buy like an oval or a pod-shaped bassinet, you are entirely at the mercy of brand-specific proprietary sizing.
You can't just buy a generic sheet.
No, you can't. And what's fascinating here is the developmental implications of this sizing chaos. That's what we really need to focus on.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, the Cleveland Clinic points out that loose bedding is a primary environmental risk for infant suffocation, and the mechanics of why are important to understand.
Right, because an adult gets a sheet tangled over their face, they simply swat it away or just, roll over.
Exactly. Small infants physically lack the gross motor skills and the neck strength to remove loose fabric from their faces.
So if a sheet pops off a corner and just bunches up near their face, they are just stuck.
Stuck and potentially unable to breathe. So if that foundational layer isn't perfectly flat and immovably secure, no other safe sleep practice you implement really matters.
Wow. Okay, so buying bassinet sheets without pulling out a tape measure first is basically like buying a fitted sheet for a thick pillow top mattress, but ending up with one meant for a flat futon.
Yes, great analogy.
Except instead of just waking up annoyed that the corner popped off in the middle of the night, the stakes are literal life and death.
And the biggest mistake parents make when they do measure, if they measure at all, is focusing only on the length and the width.
Oh, they forget the third dimension.
They completely ignore the depth of the mattress pad.
Right, because bassinet pads are notoriously thin.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're barely an inch thick compared to a standard crib mattress.
Yes. And the depth dictates how much fabric is available for the sheet's pocket to grip underneath the pad.
Oh, I see.
If the pocket is engineered for a 3-inch mattress and you stretch it over a 1-inch mattress, you inherently have slack.
Ah, and a wiggly baby can easily kick that loose.
Exactly. They kick it loose, exposing the mattress core and pulling that loose edge of fabric right up to their nose.
Okay, so takeaway number 1 for you listening.
Yeah.
Do not leave the house without measuring the actual mattress pad itself. Not the inside walls of the bassinet, the physical pad.
Crucial distinction.
And when looking at the packaging, you aren't just looking for cute woodland creature patterns. You have to look for full surround elastic.
That is a non-negotiable structural detail. Corner-only elastic is highly prone to slipping off when the baby shifts their weight.
Because it's only holding on to 4 little spots.
Right. Full surround elastic grips the entire perimeter of the mattress simultaneously. You also want to look for OEKO-TEX certification.
Which means the fabric has been rigorously tested to be free of harmful chemicals, right?
Exactly. No harmful chemicals, no weird polyester blends.
I also noticed the sources repeatedly say to check for the word pre-shrunk on the label, which makes total sense. Because, I mean, if you buy an organic cotton sheet that fits perfectly out of the box.
And then you wash it.
Right. You wash it in hot water to sanitize it and it shrinks. It's going to bend that flimsy bassinet mattress into a literal taco shape.
And a taco-shaped mattress creates an unlevel, concave sleeping surface, which forces the baby to roll onto their side or stomach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, creating a massive suffocation hazard all on its own.
Okay, so the foundation is flat, the sheet is gripped tight with full surround elastic, and the mattress isn't bending. We've solved the surface.
We have.
But a secure surface doesn't do much good if the air sitting directly on top of it is dangerous.
Which brings us right back to the overheating danger zone we touched on at the start.
Yes, let's talk numbers.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Healthline and the NIH are very strict on this. They state the ideal room temperature for a baby is between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit.
With an absolute maximum of 75 degrees.
Honestly, sitting in a 68-degree room sounds like I need to go put on a sweater.
It does feel quite chilly to a lot of adults. But infant physiology is vastly different from ours. Babies generate heat and warm up significantly faster than adults do.
Okay.
But their primary cooling mechanism, their sweat glands, are severely underdeveloped. They simply do not sweat efficiently.
So when an adult gets hot, our body releases water onto the skin, the ambient air evaporates it, and that process cools our blood. A newborn basically can't do that.
Right. They just don't have that machinery running yet. That biological inability to self-regulate and cool down is exactly why overheating is such a heavily recognized risk factor for SIDS.
Which perfectly explains that terrifying winter paradox.
Yeah.
Parents feel a 68-degree room, they feel their own arms getting cold, and they project that physical sensation onto the baby.
They absolutely do.
They overbundle them in fleece sleep sacks and just crank the home's heating system.
And the signs that a baby is actively overheating can be deceptively subtle if you don't know the physiology. You're looking for flushed skin, unusually red ears, a sweaty back of the neck, or a rapid heartbeat.
And in extreme cases.
In extreme cases, an overheated baby becomes lethargic and very difficult to wake up.
That's horrifying. Because a sleep-deprived parent might see a lethargic baby and think, oh, thank goodness they are finally sleeping soundly.
When in reality, the baby's central nervous system is dangerously stressed.
It's a tragic misinterpretation of symptoms.
It really is.
But let me ask you this, because this is where human instinct really battles science. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Let's say I'm holding a newborn, and their hands and feet feel like literal ice cubes. Every fiber of my being is screaming, warm them up, put socks on them, wrap them in a blanket. How do you mentally train yourself to ignore that physical cue and trust checking the neck instead?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of survival biology, it becomes much easier to ignore. An infant's circulatory system is highly immature. The body's absolute priority is protecting the core organs.
So the heart, the lungs, the brain.
Exactly. To keep those vital organs warm, the body actively pulls blood away from the extremities through a process called vasoconstriction.
So it physically narrows the blood vessels in the arms and legs, so the warm blood stays pooled in the chest.
Precisely. That is the exact mechanism of why a baby's hands and feet naturally run cold. If you touch their toes to gauge if they need another blanket, you will get a false negative every single time.
Mind blown.
The golden rule of newborn temperature checks is to always feel the chest or the back of the neck. If the back of the neck is warm and dry, the baby's core is perfect. If it's sweaty, they are too hot.
It's a total paradigm shift. You had to actively fight your own protective impulses.
Yeah.
But what if you don't have perfect central air conditioning?
That's a reality for a lot of people.
Right. Say it's late July, the AC is struggling, and the nursery is stubbornly sitting at 78 degrees. The sources give some really smart mechanical cooling tactics. First, you pre-cool the room.
Yes. Closing the blackout curtains first thing in the morning before the sun hits the window. That blocks the radiant heat from ever entering the space.
And when the sun finally goes down, you use cross-ventilation strategically by opening opposite windows. Fans are also incredibly useful, but there is a major safety caveat here, right?
There is. You use a fan for air circulation to promote evaporative cooling in the room, but you never point a fan directly at the crib.
Because a direct, constant stream of air on a baby's face can disrupt their breathing rhythm.
Yes, and it can excessively cool them. You want to aim the fan at a wall or the ceiling just to keep the entire air mass in the room moving.
The sources also mentioned this really cool trick, placing a damp cloth draped over a bowl of ice water near the crib.
Safely outside their reach, of course.
Oh, of course. And the fan blows across the ice water, actively cooling the ambient air before it reaches the baby, sort of like a DIY AC unit.
Exactly.
Now, the golden rule of dressing them from the sources really stuck with me. Dress the baby in only one more layer than you need to be comfortable in that exact same room.
It's a great rule of thumb.
So if the room is 78 degrees and you are comfortable sitting there in just a t-shirt and shorts,
then the baby might literally just need a standard diaper and the absolute thinnest, lightest sleep sack you own, nothing more.
But knowing they only need one layer doesn't solve the problem if that one layer is made of the wrong material.
Very true.
Because all that evaporative cooling in the room is entirely useless if the fabric the baby is wearing acts like a trap against their body. So if I'm looking at a label in a store, how do I translate all this into plain English?
This is where we rely on TOG ratings and fabric science. TOG stands for thermal overall grade. It's an objective, laboratory-tested measurement of a fabric's thermal insulation.
I found it easiest to think of TOG ratings, kind of like sunscreen SPF. It's a standardized metric that takes the guesswork out of protection.
I like that.
Yeah. A 0.2 TOG is your lightweight daily facial moisturizer. It's highly breathable and perfect for hot summer nights between 24 and 27 degrees Celsius or 75 to 80 Fahrenheit.
Yep.
On the other end of the scale, a 3.5 TOG is your heavy-duty winter parka, strictly meant for cold winter nights, dipping below 16 Celsius or 60 Fahrenheit.
That's a highly functional analogy, and the safety rule of thumb remains consistent. When in doubt, it is always safer to dress a baby slightly cool rather than too warm.
Always slightly cool, got it.
But the TOG number only tells you the insulation capacity. The actual physical material that achieves that TOG rating is where the real debate is right now. Specifically, the massive industry battle between bamboo rayon and traditional cotton.
Oh, the great fabric wars. Let's get into the mechanics of this, because the data from OEKO-TEX and the manufacturers is fascinating. Bamboo rayon, specifically the eco-friendly lyocell variety, is heavily trending right now.
It's everywhere.
It's silky, it has this great fluid stretch, and it absorbs 12 to 13% of moisture. Compare that to standard cotton, which only absorbs about 6 to 9%.
That high moisture absorption is due to the structure of the regenerated cellulose fibers in bamboo lyocell. It pulls sweat away from the baby's skin much faster than cotton, making it incredibly cooling in humid environments.
Okay, so it sounds perfect.
Well, that same cellular structure creates a significant mechanical drawback. When bamboo fibers get wet, they actually swell. This swelling causes them to lose 30 to 50% of their tensile strength.
Wow, so the very mechanism that makes it cooling also makes it structurally fragile.
Exactly. Because of that swelling, they require incredibly gentle washing, usually cold water and air drying. If you throw bamboo sleep sacks in a hot wash or a harsh dryer cycle, the fibers break down, peel, and tear very quickly.
Which, let's be honest, is a pretty massive flaw when you consider you're dealing with explosive newborn diapers at 3 in the morning.
It's not ideal.
No. Hanging a sleep sack on a rack to air dry is the absolute last thing I want to do. Now, on the other side of the aisle, you have organic cotton that doesn't have that silky fluid drape that bamboo has, but structurally, it's a tank.
Cotton's cellulose structure is naturally more stable. It is highly durable, hypoallergenic, and critically, cotton actually gains strength when wet rather than losing it.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, this means it can withstand high heat washing and intense drying without losing its structural integrity over time.
Which completely explains why hospitals exclusively use 100% organic cotton for their linens. They need fabrics that can survive intense high-heat chemical sterilization processes.
Precisely. But the most crucial factor for parents at home, regardless of whether you pick cotton or bamboo, is breathability.
Yeah.
Both are natural, porous fibers. Where parents get into serious trouble is using synthetic blends.
Like a polyester fleece sleep sack or a dense synthetic bassinet sheet?
Yes.
Because polyester is essentially spun plastic, right? It doesn't breathe.
Yeah. Essentially, yes. A synthetic fabric creates a non-porous barrier that traps the heat radiating from the baby's body. It bounces the heat right back at them, completely undoing all the fan pointing and curtain drawing you did to cool the ambient room temperature.
So you're saying that using a synthetic mattress protector basically turns a highly breathable cotton swaddle into a tiny sweat lodge.
That is a very accurate, if uncomfortable, way to visualize it. It creates a micro greenhouse against the skin. And speaking of trapped heat, the clinical sources are absolutely unanimous on one final temperature rule. You must never, ever use a hat on a baby indoors for sleep.
Because the head acts as the body's primary radiator.
Yes. Since an infant's sweat glands are immature, releasing heat from the largest surface area of their head is their primary biological cooling mechanism.
Ah, I see.
If you cap that radiator with a knit hat, the heat has nowhere to go but back into their core, forcing their internal temperature up.
Okay, so we've got the clinical guidelines. We understand the physics of TOG ratings, the cellulose structure of bamboo, and the radiator function of a baby's head.
The science is solid.
But how does all this pristine scientific theory actually survive contact with reality? I mean, a screaming infant at night. Let's turn to that Reddit thread.
Yeah.
This is a group of veteran moms basically staging a digital intervention for first-time parents who are obsessing over their registries.
Theory is wonderful, but practicality dictates survival when you're operating on fragmented sleep.
Seriously.
If a piece of clothing requires a manual to put on, a sleep-deprived parent will eventually throw it away.
And the absolute consensus from the trenches is that the ultimate newborn uniform is the two-way zippy pajama. The sources stress abandoning pants and shirts entirely for the first few months. One mom laid out the mechanics perfectly. Floppy, uncooperative baby limbs are a nightmare to thread through multiple armholes and waistbands while the baby is crying.
Multi-piece outfits require far too much physical manipulation of a fragile, squirming infant. A two-way zipper solves this.
Because it lets you zip from the bottom up.
Exactly. You expose only their lower half to change a diaper, keeping their chest warm and contained.
It's just peak efficiency. Then there's the great burp cloth debate. You look at these beautifully curated registry checklists online, and they suggest buying maybe 4 to 8 burp cloths. The Reddit moms found that hilarious.
I imagine they recommended significantly more than 8.
Oh, yeah. They said 15 to 20 is the bare minimum, especially if your baby has acid reflux.
That sounds much more realistic.
Right. They pointed out that spit-up isn't a rare, scheduled event. It's a constant reality of the newborn lifestyle. If you only have 6 burp cloths, you are running the washing machine every single day just to keep up.
And they also addressed the scratch mittens, correct? The little gloves meant to keep babies from scratching their faces.
Yes. They said to skip the separate scratch mittens entirely. They fall off the second the baby moves their arms, they vanish into the laundry abyss, and they can actually pose a minor choking hazard if they end up loose in the crib.
Good point.
The much smarter, safer move is to buy the zippy pajamas that have those little fold-over fabric cuffs built right into the ends of the sleeves. You just flip the fabric over their hands.
It completely eliminates a loose variable from the sleep environment.
They also went hard on skipping baby shoes and socks, since they never stay on. And they specifically called out those complex, hyper-organized toy bins for newborns.
Babies just don't need that.
No. A newborn doesn't need a Montessori library. For the first 3 months, their vision is so underdeveloped, they basically just want to stare at high-contrast black and white cards.
Did the thread offer any organizational strategies? Because the cognitive load of managing all these new sleep protocols, fabric types, and temperature checks is immense for a new parent.
That was actually my favorite part of the whole thread. The ADHD parenting hacks were brilliant for managing cognitive overload. The best tip: establish multiple diaper caddies.
Oh, tell me more.
Don't just build one beautiful, Pinterest-perfect changing station in the nursery. If you live in a multi-story house, build a functional caddy for every single floor. Keep one stocked in the living room. Because realistically, you are not going to hike up a flight of stairs while holding a baby having a blowout.
Definitely not.
You need functional systems in place where the messes actually happen, not just aesthetic furniture.
That concept of keeping supplies at the actual point of performance is a fundamental strategy for managing executive dysfunction. It's incredibly smart.
But reading through all these highly practical stripped-down tips made me realize something. So what does this all mean for the massive aesthetic baby registries we see all over Instagram? Are we just buying into a marketing trap?
This raises an important question, really, about modern consumerism versus biological necessity. When you analyze a lot of these trendy products, you realize they aren't actually engineered to meet the physical needs of the baby.
No.
No, they are engineered to soothe the psychological anxiety of the parent.
Oh, wow. I can absolutely see that. Walking into a baby store for the first time is completely overwhelming. Buying the high-tech gadget feels like you're buying a safety net.
Precisely. Preparing for a newborn feels chaotic and entirely out of our control. Purchasing a highly specialized, expensive item gives us the illusion that we are regaining control of the environment.
So the baby wipe warmers, the bunting bags, the 10 different types of bottles.
Exactly. The industry deeply understands that parents desperately want to engineer a perfectly safe, risk-free space. So they sell complex solutions to very simple biological realities. A baby doesn't physically require a heated wipe. They just need to be clean.
Right.
They don't need a designer swaddle. They just need a breathable two-way zipper so they aren't exposed to freezing air during a 3 a.m. change.
We're basically spending hundreds of dollars to self-soothe our own parental panic.
And while some tools like a reliable tape measure for that bassinet sheet and an accurate room thermometer are absolutely essential for safety, the vast majority of the essentials list is just consumer noise.
Well, consider us thoroughly de-influenced. Let's recap the core science-backed lessons we've extracted from these sources for you today. First, when buying bassinet sheets, you must measure the depth of the mattress pad, not just the length and width.
And insist on full surround elastic so it doesn't pop off and create a suffocation hazard.
Yes. Second, when checking if your baby is overheating, ignore those freezing cold fingers and toes caused by vasoconstriction and check the back of their neck instead.
Third, use TOG ratings as your objective scientific guide for layering, and ensure you are exclusively using highly breathable natural fibers like cotton or bamboo to avoid creating that dangerous micro-greenhouse effect with synthetic plastics.
And finally, embrace the absolute utility of the two-way zipper, ditch the separate scratch mittens for built-in cuffs, and hoard muslin burp cloths like your sanity depends on it. Because, well, it probably does.
It definitely does.
This deep dive isn't just about giving you more data to memorize. It's about empowering you to trust actual science and raw practicality over glossy marketing. We want to save you money, reclaim physical space in your home, and most importantly, save you from that paralyzing middle-of-the-night guesswork.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've spent a lot of time today dissecting TOG ratings, cellulose moisture-wicking properties, and mattress depth measurements. These modern metrics are undeniably valuable tools for reducing risks and keeping infants safe.
Absolutely.
But remember that for millennia, humanity successfully raised infants without temperature-controlled nurseries, digital room sensors, or breathable bamboo lyocell. The question we have to ask ourselves is this. In our frantic quest to engineer the perfect risk-free environment, are we letting the hyper-optimization of baby sleep override our own innate parental intuition?
Oh, wow. That is a really heavy question to sit with.
Are we staring so intensely at the digital thermometer on the monitor that we forget to simply put a hand on our baby's chest and feel them breathe? It's something to seriously consider the next time you find yourself awake at 3 a.m., tempted to buy yet another high-tech baby gadget, trying to buy precision in an experience that is beautifully, inherently murky.
From relying on the illusion of a perfect blueprint right back to trusting your own hands and intuition. Thank you so much for joining us in this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.